And I think we'll have roses hanging from the pews to match the roses that are in my bouquet.
I thought we talked about lilies.
Now, I want to have roses like you and Dad had. And Nathan thinks it's a great idea. His parents didn't really do the whole big wedding in a church thing. Actually, we're still not even sure about the baptism.
Catherine, he needs to be baptized if you want to be married here.
I know. I keep telling him baptism isn't really that big of a deal, but he's taking it very seriously. He doesn't agree with everything that goes with the ceremony.
What could you possibly mean?
He's going to talk to Pastor Barrett, and they're going to see if they can figure something out. Would a rose as a boutonniere for Dad look strange to match me?
That would be nice.
Because honestly, I can't think of any flower that really fits a winter wedding. I mean, what else could I use? Like pine branches?
That large evergreen near the house died. The last frost killed it.
Really? Huh. Maybe I could use pine. Instead of baby's breath, it'd be cheaper. And it might look really nice.
Even for an instant, if I have sinned, what have I done to you? Oh, watcher of man. Her children arise and call her blessed. Her husband also, and he praises her. Charm is deceptive, beauty is fleeting, but a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. If I have sinned, what have I done to you? Oh, watcher of man.
I just can't stop thinking about who's gonna walk me down the aisle.
The aisle?
Next month, my wedding.
Catherine, why here? Why this church? You stopped coming here years ago. Nathan refuses to be baptized. Pastor Barrett won't perform a non-sacramental ceremony.
It doesn't have to be religious. I just want to be married where you and Dad were.
I guess I just don't understand why.
It would be symbolic of a long-lasting and peaceful marriage.
No, it wouldn't.
So, what happened exactly?
Well, it was first period before the bell. We were in math with Miss Gallagher, and Billy started picking on Julia Sullivan.
Is that so?
Stop it, Billy.
Come on, loosen up. You can be loose, can't you?
Yo, knock it off.
What?
Knock it off!
He just started running his mouth, you know? I had to defend myself. It was pure instinct.
And what happened then?
He just starts wailing on me.
It was awful.
And then?
And then?
Jesse King.
I couldn't just stand by and let that poor kid get pummeled. I had to step in.
And where do you come in?
Well, I was just about to start teaching when I heard all the hullabaloo behind me. I turned around, shouted in surprise. I don't really remember what I said. Jesse! And then I tried to pull them apart. Frankly, I couldn't tell who was punching who. I brought him right to you, sir.
We take fighting very seriously here, Mr. Fisher.
Suspended. Again.
You know our policy.
2 weeks? I barely touched him.
2 weeks.
But he hit me twice.
It's zero tolerance. Thank you again, Karen.
No problem at all, sir.
See you in 2 weeks.
So my mother was a avid naturalist, and among the things she was interested in was flowers. So she named all the flowers and kept track of when they bloomed during the year. And I really picked up on that when I was very young, like before I was 10. And all through my teens, I was one of these total nerd naturalist types. There was a big closet in our house, and I filled it full of everything I could collect. You know, beehives, bird nests, snakeskins, turtle shells, you name it, it was in there. And I had a plant collection, a little plant collection, a bunch of dried leaves and a book. My big thing in those days was butterflies, and I assembled a pretty nice butterfly collection at the time. But I discovered, taking high school biology, that I didn't particularly like killing animals, and that was part of the landscape for being a biologist if you want to study animals. And it was at that point that I started getting more and more focused on plants. And as it turns out, I'm not very good at killing plants either, so I tend to collect parts of plants and not whole plants. I am a dedicated journal writer. I keep journals all the time. And like there's a half a shelf of journals over there from different field trips. And that actually is a prominent part of my sort of self-definition, is as a journal writer, and going back to see what my perception of things was like in the past and how it differs from how I see things now. One of the humbling lessons that I get from that is I'm often surprised by how well I understood things a long time ago. It's not, you know, I keep wondering, have I really gotten anywhere with this? Because many of the questions that I had long ago are the same questions I still have now. So, first of all, this gives you a sense of what an herbarium specimen looks like. In general, you've got a sheet of paper with the plants glued on it, sometimes taped down, the big pieces. And then there are various labels. This one has what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This specimen is the basis for a name of a species that I'm working on, so it's particularly valuable. And that gives you a sense of the whole nature of this activity. I will now go in and look closely at these plants and collect information about all the different features of plants, and then compare them to many of the more modern collections to see which ones belong with this name and which ones belong with others. I am probably within 2 years of retiring. And so the real question is, what am I going to do with this passion, at that point? How am I going to form what I'm going to do? And I think so far the ideal answer is to maintain a presence here in the department as an emeritus professor and have essentially a research presence, to sort of pass on the torch to managing the department and managing the herbarium to other people, especially Michael, and be here working on my own projects. I have an awful lot of things backlogged that need attention.
2 years, you think? Wow.
Do you know how old I am?
30 something.
Oh